All right, welcome everyone to today's episode of the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube show. It is free to do so. You can subscribe to the channel, I should say. And you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. Of course, very exciting news in the world of the NHL, of hockey. On the line right now, a hockey expert. He's the host of the Yossi G and Brent Show. You can find that show on 1490 WBCB and WBCB1490.com. That show airs every Thursday night from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Welcome back to the program, Yossi G. Yossi, how you doing out there?
Thank God, very well, Ari. How are you?
Doing great. It's great to have you on. Of course, I love talking about the NHL, talking hockey. Let's start first with the New York Rangers. I understand that they made some moves. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the biggest move, obviously, was the Rangers went out and got the player that they needed, a type of player that they really needed in order to try and have the best shot of bringing the Stanley Cup trophy back to New York, where it has not resided since 1994. The Rangers have their goaltender, star goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist, that everybody knows, and is, right now the big question with him is that window of opportunity that the Rangers have of winning that title with Henrik Lundqvist between the pipes, is that window closing? And with that in mind, they went out and got a guy who could play the power play, be the quarterback on the power play, so to speak, that they were looking for a long time, as well as win faceoffs. It did cost them a little bit of a pretty penny, but the Rangers are not necessarily looking to win in the future, more so that they're looking to win now. And the fact that they have to give up their top prospect in the farm system, so be it, if that's the cost of winning a title now.
All right, let's talk about Lundqvist. We mentioned, as you mentioned, short window of opportunity. How many years does he have left, in your opinion?
Well, right now I look at Henrik Lundqvist. You know, he suffered an injury to his the vascular muscles. That's his throat. He had a puck go off of it, so he's been out for the last couple of weeks. And the backup goaltender, Cam Talbot, has really played better than I think anybody in the NHL circles ever thought that he would be able to play, and really is causing the Rangers to have a good headache, if you will. The question of, do they pay Lundqvist the big money? Do they keep Talbot? Do they trade Lundqvist? But right now, when you look at Henrik Lundqvist, when he's in the net, I mean, this guy is one of the top 3 goaltenders in the league. He still has what it takes to win the game on his own, single-handedly for his team. I'll look at the window of opportunity for the Rangers, another 2 to 3 years with him backstopping, being that guy between the pipes for the Rangers. After that, I mean, it only is something that you would look at as something being, it's age. He's getting a little older. It's relatively normal for that to happen when a goaltender starts losing a little bit of his luster. And for the moment, I look at the Rangers still being able to pull it off with Henrik Lundqvist between the pipes, but not for that much longer.
All right, this is something that I talk about. There's a good friend of mine, Dave Speed, who's a big Rangers fan, and he says if Lundqvist had any type of offense whatsoever, he'd have several Stanley Cup rings. What do you think?
Well, there is some truth to that. Look at last season. The Rangers made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they had that offensive firepower. They had guys like Rick Nash. They had a guy like Marty St. Louis. But the big issue for the Rangers, their Achilles heel has always been the power play. Since, the last dozen or so years, since the late 90s, they haven't really had that guy on the power play to really set things straight. They tried it with different players. Now it looks like with the trade that they made at the deadline with the Phoenix Coyotes that they're actually going to be able to pull that forward, that they'll actually be able to take the power play and turn it from a minus into a plus.
Now, also, one of the things I found interesting with the Rangers' run last year, they were down, looked like they were down and out in the series against the Penguins. They had a bunch of games in a row, and obviously a lot of Game 7s. So Stanima, I think, was a bit of an issue when they got to the finals against the Kings. They ran out of gas. Do you think that would happen to them again this year if they've done anything to change?
Well, the fact that you run out of gas, when you look at the Stanley Cup and the competition that you have in the playoffs to win that title, I always maintain that it is the most difficult title to win because of what it takes to get there. You look at the sport of hockey in and of itself, one of the most physically demanding sports, and the fact that you can, as a player, you could have your team actually go play 28 games if you go to Game 7 in each round until you come out victorious. So when you look at the fact that you're going to be anywhere between 16 and 28 games of how intense we know hockey to be, it is definitely the most difficult title to win. With that said, the Rangers, and really just about any team, there is something to be said about not going to Game 7 in seemingly every single round, because it does take out, you do lose a little bit of gas, a little bit of steam as play goes. And when you look at how the Rangers made their run, there was so much adversity that they overcame in order to get to the final that once they got there, it almost seemed as if they had nothing more to give. And we all know what the end result was, 4-2. The Kings won, and that was it.
And it's funny, we're talking about the team that lost the finals, such as the power of New York, the New York Rangers. Let's go to the team that won the finals, the LA Kings. Now, they've had a couple of cups in the past few years, ran Jonathan Quick again, they rode him. Jonathan Quick, I believe, is still in his prime. And I knew the Kings, me and you talked about this phone privately before the finals started. I like the Kings to win the whole thing before the playoffs. What do you think about them, their chances this season?
Well, when you look at what the Kings bring to the table, obviously, anytime a team wins the final, they're going to be the ones that have that bullseye on their back, and that's exactly what the Kings are this year. I don't think that they're going to win the Cup final again, and it's a very difficult thing to do. No one's done it since the Red Wings back in the late 90s, back-to-back years. So I don't think that they're going to make it to the finals. I think they'll be knocked out beforehand. And we also look at some of the players on their team that they had last year. They're 1 year older. Yes, perhaps a little wiser, perhaps a little bit more experienced, but also a little slower. And because of that, when you look at how playoff hockey is done in the NHL, you've got to be on top of your game. And another long season like what the NHL has, I don't think it's going to bode very well for some of their older players, especially when it comes to playoff hockey time.
Again, this is the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yossi, let's go back to New York. Let's talk about the Islanders. Sometimes people think New York, they think the Rangers right away, but the Islanders are the ones that have won 4 Stanley Cups in the 80s, and they seem to be doing pretty well right now. Talk a bit about them.
Yeah, it almost seems like that's about the only thing that the Islanders and their fans have to, bring home to. But then again, it is more than what Rangers fans have to bring home to. So, with that in mind, the Islanders have really shown a lot of cojones, if you will, this season. The way that they've played, it surprised a lot of people. Not so much that people didn't think that they would be a good team. I thought they would be a good team. They showed a lot of promise last year before falling pretty much off wheels coming off towards the end of, the latter part of the season. But just the way that they've matured were over the course of time between the end of last season and now is really, really, eye-opening. And the fact that they are able to maintain the play, especially with all the things going on in the background. This is the last season that they're going to be in Nassau Coliseum. It's the last season they're going to be on the east side of Long Island. They move to Barclays Center in Brooklyn next year. So with that in mind, they're still playing on the top, near the top of the league. They're now in second place, actually behind the Rangers. So the way that they've been played, really, it is one of those nice stories to come out of the NHL this season. The Islanders playing with the young core that they have, it really shows what a team can accomplish with a core that has been together for a number of years, granted through thick and thin, but now they're showing what happens when you stick it through, that you could have a lot of success at a certain point once the tide turns, if you will.
And talk about the Nassau Coliseum. It seems like they've been there forever. How long have they been there? And tell us a bit about the move. I imagine economic reasons, bring in more money, luxury suites. So tell us a bit about that situation.
Well, the Nassau Coliseum is a crap hole. It is what it is. There's nothing really about it that has any saving grace. I've only been to a couple games there, and I don't like it. Not from a fan's perspective, not from a media perspective. It really is. It's good. I'm very happy that they're moving, because there's been many opportunities for the Islanders to have a new arena built in Long Island, in eastern Long Island, and for various reasons, the public, as well as elected officials, decided not to go through with various projects to build a new arena, a new place to play, and they're going to suffer the consequences because they're bringing their talents to Brooklyn, if you will, and the Nets and the area where they're going to be playing, Barclays Center. The Nets are happy. The fans in Brooklyn are happy. You don't have to drive out to Long Island anymore. You can just take a train, and you end up right there on the front door, and you're going to go enjoy nice hockey. It's a beautiful thing. I've been to Barclays Center. It is a beautiful arena, and it really, really bodes well for this Islanders team. They're giving their Long Island fans as best a farewell as they possibly could with the way that they've been playing this season, but it also gives the Brooklyn fans the opportunity to look ahead to next season and say, hey, we have a team that actually can kick your team's butt.
Well, do you think also that if it is a better facility, could it draw a big-time free agent, and also you figure more fans are going to go and they could pay higher-priced tickets, like, again, the luxury boxes, the suites. So could that really change around the Islanders' fortunes in the years to come?
Well, when you look at how the Islanders have approached free agency and in the last couple of years, and that the trade deadlines and the players that they've brought in, it definitely doesn't hurt that they're moving to Brooklyn. I mean, this is a place, there's the argument of, is this the same as Manhattan? Is it the same as, playing on Broadway with the Rangers? No, it's not, but it is definitely a very close second.
All right. Again, this is the Ari Louis Show on Israel National Radio. Arut Sheva. The show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, email messiahhour@gmail.com. We're speaking hockey with my main man, Yossi G. Let's talk about Jaromir Jagr. It's incredible because I know as a kid, when I was a kid, we were fans of his, but he's still playing. How is that possible?
Yeah, you're not a kid anymore, and Jagr is still in the league, so go figure. It is incredible. It is a testament to his off-season conditioning programs and things like that. But, man, this guy can still play. 43 years old. He got traded to the Florida Panthers, and he's still lighting it up with guys who are half his age. It is definitely a beautiful thing to watch when, as a fan and as just somebody who enjoys the game of hockey, the sport of hockey, to watch somebody who you grew up idolizing still, bringing it every single night. It is a beautiful thing to watch.
So, we talk about how many years does Lundqvist have in the league. How many years does the 43-year-old Jagr have?
He has as many years in the league as he wants until he says he is done. That is how many years he's got left. The way that he's been playing, it's been incredible to watch.
All right, now, even though he can do it, he can shut it down whenever he wants to. I was thinking, I know Gordie Howe played in his 50s, but modern times, I know Messier played, I think, when he was 44, but give our audience an idea of like a modern-day hockey player of the latest they could really go to.
Well, do you remember Dominik Hasek?
Sure, yeah. How long did he go for?
Yeah, he went till he was about 45. So it's possible when you, obviously with the way that players are and their conditioning and how they take care of themselves both during the season, but more importantly during the off season, which is extreme importance. And it also is a little bit about, obviously genetics plays a little bit into the roles as well as to how long a player can actually play in the league or maintain the level of ability of dominance like Hasek did. But when it comes to that, as well as the teams, there's a lot of dynamics that go into it, but overall, I would say the players usually kind of start tailing out around 34, 35 is kind of the end of their prime. But when you have guys like Hasek and and Eric Lidstrom and Steve Yzerman. And you have guys like that. I mean, these are players who played till they are at around 40 years old and playing at the top of their game. So it is definitely possible. And you have somebody like Jaromir Jagr proving that age is but a number in your passport.
Well said to that. All right, let's stay in the Eastern Conference and talk about the Boston Bruins, because last year they seemed just unstoppable in the regular season. So many players with 50 goals and all these points, and it looked like they were, President's Trophy winner. They looked like they were going to steamroll their way. It didn't work out for them. How are they doing this year?
Well, this year they're right at the cusp of the playoffs. I mean, it depends on the night, the 8th seed, the 9th seed. But I look at it as, they're taking a different approach. Like you said, last year, President's Cup Trophy winner. This year, and they didn't really make it that far in the playoffs. They didn't make it to the finals. This year they're trying a different approach. Maybe just barely get in and then take a page out of the LA Kings book and then steamroll it from there.
Yeah, if you can explain to our audience, because if you see in sports like the NBA, usually the number 1 seed or number 2 makes the NBA Finals. In the NFL, you have a wild card that does win the Super Bowl, but the NFL, they take the top 6 teams of each conference, and that's it. In baseball, you could have a wild card win many times, but still, that's the top 5 teams. The NHL is the top 8 teams of each conference, but very often a number 8 seed or 7 seed wins. Tell our audience a bit why that is.
Well, it comes down to one word, and it's called parity. And that's really what the NHL has had the last number of years, is many of the teams that make the playoffs, really the difference between the number 8 seed and the number 1 seed is maybe a player, maybe an injury. That's really the difference. And you have teams that, take an example from the Oklahoma City Thunder, where right now it looks like they would just barely make the playoffs, but that's a team that everybody knows could really be anywhere in the top 3 in the league any given year. When you have a team in the NHL that is similarly built, where they just scratch their way and claw their way through over an 82-game season into the playoffs, be it because of an injury to a star player, be it because of a suspension, whatever it may, the reasons may be, come playoff time, everybody's there, everybody's on a more equal playing field. You have players from, all around throughout the league are nursing injuries and whatnot. It really puts everything into perspective that once you get to the postseason, the regular season is a marathon. Playoffs is a sprint.
And also, the goalie play, I think when you look at the other sports, I think the goalie has more influence on the game than the pitcher does in baseball, or the quarterback in football, or a top scorer in the NBA. Would you agree with that?
I would agree to that to an extent, because when you take the idea as to what a goalie does and what he has to go through and the focus that he has to maintain the entire game, and he really cannot take a play off. You look at how it is in baseball. Pitchers only pitching, every 10, 12 seconds, and it's only for half an inning. You look at how it goes in football, and it's the quarterback is sometimes throwing the ball, sometimes handing off the ball, and sometimes he's not even on the field at all. So when you look at it like that, and then you also take into account what a goaltender has to go through at any given moment, even if the puck is not in his zone, he has to be ready, because it could be in the zone with the flip of a stick.
Yeah, indeed. And we saw that last year when I really enjoyed the finals. You had Quick versus Lundqvist, the 2 best goalies in the NHL, and it was a chess match. And I hated to see the way the finals ended, where Lundqvist kind of, he falls down, he's on his stomach. He played great, but he couldn't beat Quick when they got to the finals. Could be a better team.
Quick was quicker. Look, it's just that was the end of the day. That's all it was. It came down to who was faster between the pipes and who had a better team around him for that series, and it was LA. They played a phenomenal playoff. They had a wonderful run, and the Rangers, gave it their best shot. They came up a little short, and that's what they're trying to change this season.
Indeed. All right, let's talk about Montreal, because Montreal last season, they were a lower seed. They got the Bruins in the first round, and that didn't really work out for them. And Carey Price is a pretty good goaltender. Most teams I think would be happy to have a guy like Price. Right now, they are first in the East, in the Eastern Division of the Atlantic in the Eastern Conference. So tell us a bit about the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, what the Canadiens have been doing is something that Canadiens fans, Habs fans for years have been just waiting for everything to click, from the young guys, the veterans, the goaltending play. It has all seemingly come together for them this season. Obviously, playoffs will be that final and truer test for the extent of which the Canadiens have gone. But for now, this is really what has Montreal, the fans of hockey, the hockey fans up there up north, salivating at the bit, chomping at the bit, ready and waiting for whoever comes to the Bell Center once the playoffs begin.
All right. Again, this is the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Route 7. The show is syndicated as Messiah Hour on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Louis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. Any questions, comments, complaints, it is a Jewish country after all. Email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. We'll take a quick break and have more on the other side. This is the Ari Louis Show here on Israel National Radio, Route 7. More with Yossi G right after this.